Our first vocabulary word is locate. Locate means to find something. If you are trying to locate something, you are trying to find it. I used an example this week when I was explaining to you what it meant to locate something of the TV show Jake and the Neverland Pirates. I said in their show they are always trying to find these buried chests that have buried treasure in them. And the reason that they're trying to find them is because they're looking for these gold doubloons. And so one of the things they use to try to find their buried treasure, because you know pirates, they like to find their treasure, are these maps. And the maps are normally pretty fancy maps if you actually look at them. They'll have like where there's sandy beach, and then they'll have where there's water, and then the pirates will have landmarks that they look for on their map. For example, they might be looking for a set of palm trees that grow on one side of the beach. They may use those palm trees to remind themselves, okay, we're looking for these palm trees to help us locate the treasure. And then they put an X to mark the spot of where you need to go to find the treasure. That's to help them locate or find the treasure. They use a treasure map to help them locate. You might use a map to locate something important, like your school or a fire department. We've read a story this week called All on the Map, and it's about things that you would find on a map. I want you to think about what a map might have on it that you would want to find, and go draw a picture of a map now that you would use to help you locate something specific. It might be your school. It might be a map to help you locate a fire department or a hospital or even a church. Do that on your paper now. Our next vocabulary word is symbol. A symbol is something that is used to represent something. For example, we have talked about this week how we have a symbol for our country that is in our classroom. And every day we say the Pledge of Allegiance. And we say that for this symbol or towards the symbol, the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And the reason we do that, that symbol represents our country. And we are looking at our flag because we are showing that we respect our country. When you are looking at our flag and you are looking at the stars on it and the stripes, those are all symbols for things in our country. Each stripe is a symbol for the 13 colonies that our country was founded with. The blue stands for liberty. The white stands for purity. Each thing represents something. And we even have an animal that we use as a symbol that you can sometimes see on the top of the flagpoles. Sometimes they'll have a bald eagle on the top of the flagpole because it's also a symbol for our country. In math, we've been using symbols like the plus symbol, the minus symbol, the equal symbol. Those are symbols that represent something. The plus symbol represents addition. So when we're using the plus symbol, we're doing addition. When we're using the minus symbol, we're doing subtraction. And then we have the equal symbol, which means the same as. Those are symbols we're using in our mathematics right now. So the flag is a symbol for our country, and these other symbols are things that we use when we're doing math. Symbols are things that are used to represent something else. Think of something that you know that is a symbol. It might be the flag. It might be a math problem that uses symbols. Draw that on your paper now. Our next vocabulary word is commotion. Commotion is another word for something that is noisy or really loud. I talked about how you guys put a lot of commotion on, in the cafeteria, and it's very distracting often because you're too loud or too noisy. I actually was at my house last night, and there was some major commotion going on there. I had gotten ready for bed, and matter of fact, I'd already turned the lights out, and I heard all kinds of commotion going on outside in my front yard. And I thought, man, what is that? And what it was is I have a lab. Her name is Rainey. And Rainey was sitting outside, and she had heard something, and she had started barking. And all I could hear was this barking, ruff, 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 just all kinds of commotion. I mean, she was so loud. Like, I was afraid it was going to wake up my little girl. But I went outside to see what it was, and you guys will never believe what she was barking at. I was glad that I didn't get too close, because what she was barking at in my yard, it was not a cat. It kind of looked like one, except it had a long white stripe down its back, and it was very, very stinky. And my dog was barking at it and making all kinds of commotion. And when I came to the door, my first thought was, I came outside and I stood in the doorway and I told her, Rainey, what are you barking at? And as soon as I realized why she was making all that commotion, that it was a skunk, I'll tell you what I did. I went back in the house because I was afraid I would get sprayed by the skunk. It was not a pretty sight. And it was so loud that she kept on and on and on. And finally that skunk left. But she made such a commotion that it not only woke up Briley, it woke our neighbors up, and they called us to see what was going on, why our dog was making such a big commotion. Commotion is a lot of noise. Think of a time that maybe somebody at your house was making a lot of commotion. Might have been your baby brother or sister crying at 3 o'clock in the morning. I saw Kobe roll her eyes. Those are things that make lots of noise sometimes in our house. Draw a picture of something at your house that's made a lot of commotion before. Draw that on your paper now.
I have a baby brother.
The next vocabulary word is muffle. When you try to muffle something, you try to make it quieter. I drew this picture for you guys on our anchor chart as well, because this is something that I've been doing all week. I have had coughing. I mean, to the point that it's like, wow, Miss Raina, you need to quit coughing so much. And to muffle it, I've had to try to put my hands over my mouth to make it quieter, because that's what muffling is. Whenever you cough, you cover your mouth to keep germs in, but also to muffle it, to make it quieter so that it's not as loud. Sometimes when you guys are trying to get away with whispering to your neighbor in class, you'll cover your mouth. You'll try to muffle the whisper so that I can't hear it. You're not very good at it, but you know you're trying to make it quieter when you cover it with your hands. Muffle means to make it quieter. Draw a picture of yourself trying to muffle a cough or muffle something you're whispering to a neighbor now on your paper. The next vocabulary word is search. To search for something means to look for it. I always like to draw my look like this with the eyeballs, because I think it helps you remember that to look and search are the same things. I told you about how at my house the other night I was in my bedroom and I had got my pillows out. I was getting ready to lay down, and next to my bed was my nightstand table with my bedside lamp, and I dropped my allergy pill on the floor, and it was so dark that no matter how hard I looked, I could not find it. First off, it's just a little pill and it's small. I couldn't find that pill, so what I had to do was go over and turn the lamp on. And when I turned the lamp on, of course it put light out, and the light helped me look for it. And when the light shone on the pill, I was able to find it. We talked about the police officers that are looking for something in the dark. And what did we say they use? We said that they have often a flashlight, and they'll use that flashlight to put out light to help them search for something. So I want you to think of a time that you have searched for something. You've looked for it. Maybe you were playing hide and go seek with somebody. Maybe you needed a light because you had to go somewhere dark to look for something. Draw a picture of that now. The last vocabulary word this week is overflowing. Now, I told you about, let me change the color on that. I told you about me pouring myself a glass of Pepsi, and I put my ice in it, and then I got my Pepsi can. I had my Pepsi beside it, and I poured it into the glass. And when I poured the Pepsi into the glass, I had a problem because after that cola went in there, it went down in between the ice, but it also began to fizz. And when it fizzed up, that's when I had a problem. That's when my fizzing pop got bigger and bigger and bigger until it fizzed out the top and it overflowed. Overflowing means that it's coming out. There's too much. We almost had a problem earlier in our bathroom because in the toilet was too much toilet paper. And with all that toilet paper in there, there's all kinds of toilet paper in it. If somebody had flushed, we would have had a serious problem because the water would have come in and then it would have overflowed into the floor. And that's what Miss Inez was telling us about. You have a toilet that overflows, it gets all in the floor, and it's nasty, and nobody wants to clean it up. Overflowing means there's too much water or too much liquid in there. We don't want our toilet to overflow. I didn't want my Pepsi to overflow. That would have been such a mess to clean up every time I did it. I don't want it to happen. You've got to make sure that you don't pour too much into your Pepsi can to keep it from, or your Pepsi glass to keep it from overflowing. Think of a time that you have maybe tried to pour yourself a glass of milk. Maybe you poured yourself some Kool-Aid. Maybe your toilet has overflowed at home. Maybe you forgot to turn the bathtub off and it overflowed. Draw a picture of something overflowing now. Okay.